welcome to the Skeptic Zone, the podcast from Australia for science and reason.
Yes, it's the Skeptic Zone, episode number 192 for the 23rd of June 2012. Richard Saunders here with you from a very sunny, very clear, but chilly Sydney, Australia. Just the other day we had the winter solstice, I seem to have heard. The shortest day of the year. Oh, it looks so nice outside the window, just cool and crisp. But let's get on to this week's episode of the Skeptic Zone. This is the Reader's Digest version today, the cut price, the cut down, the streamlined. Oh, it's only half a show, in fact. It's only half a show. We had a technical problem. Some interviews are sort of hiding on a chip somewhere. We're trying to winkle them out. But for this week, we only have about 30 minutes or so of the Skeptic Zone. I hope you don't mind the slightly shorter version. But as always, I hope you'll find the show interesting. We're going to kick off with an interview I did with Ash Pryce from Edinburgh, Scotland. Ash Pryce is a street performer, a magician, a public speaker, and a skeptic. In fact, he founded Scotland's first Skeptics in the Pub. He's going to tell us about ghosty tours in Scotland and an upcoming performance he's giving all about psychic trickery. Scotland, Edinburgh, what a lovely city that is. After the break, it's Penny Chan with a penny for your thoughts, and Penny is going to be interviewing Wendy and Paula from the Independent Investigations Group in Hollywood, IIG. Just a week ago, the Independent Investigations Group gave a test for their $50,000 prize, a guy by the name of Robert Mooreland, who claimed he could see photographs in hidden envelopes, or hidden photographs in envelopes. I think you understand what I mean. Now, on the webpage, www.skepticzone.tv, you can click the link and read all about the test. Wendy and Paula tell Penny Chan all about the test, how hard it was to set up, and some of the interesting claims that Robert Mooreland was making. And to relieve you of any suspense, he didn't pass the test. Ah, well. Thank you for all those people who are sending in limericks for our limerick competition. It's going to be running for one more week. The idea is that if you send in a limerick with a religious-based sort of theme to it, we're going to judge the best one, or the one that we find the funniest, I guess. Or maybe we'll just pick one out of a hat. There's one that's right on my screen at the moment from Jason. Let's see. We all know the story of Job. He was the best man on the globe. Even though he had slaves with his kids in their graves, he loved God and tore off his robe. Okay. Keep them coming. We've got quite a few limericks coming in with a religious sort of based theme. Maybe we should have one with Buddha in it. There once was a guy called Buddha who... I'll think about that for a while. But enough of that. I'm going to run downstairs, have that lovely hot cup of chocolate, hot chocolate for a cold winter's day, and let you enjoy the Skeptic Zone. And joining me now on the line from Scotland is Ash Pryce. Hello, Ash.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening and good morning to you, I think it is, in this crazy world of time zones.
Yes, it is. I'm sat here with my morning coffee.
Well, I've just had my afternoon tea, so we're sort of kindred spirits in that respect. And I think we're kindred spirits in more than one way, because I was just having a quick look at your various websites and things happening on the internet, and I noticed that you are the founder of Scotland's first Skeptics in the Pub, and I thought that was quite a coincidence, because many years ago I founded Sydney Skeptics in the Pub. What prompted you to do that?
Well, Scotland's got a bit of a reputation for hauntings and the supernatural, and I used to work for a ghost tour. I'm a performing artist by trade, and most performing artists in Edinburgh at one stage will work for the ghost tours. I was there for a few years, and when I started working for the ghost tours, I wouldn't call myself a skeptical individual, but over the time working there, I did develop more of a skeptical mindset, and I started working on a skeptical ghost walk, and when I was doing that, I contacted a few British skeptics. One of them was Chris French, and he suggested I set up a Skeptics in the Pub to try and meet more like-minded individuals. So that's kind of where that started from. It was actually a ghost tour that gave rise to Scotland's first Skeptics in the Pub.
So there you go. The ghosts of Scotland, the ghosts of Edinburgh led to Scotland's first Skeptics in the Pub. Well, I certainly enjoy doing and going to Skeptics in the Pub, and what a wonderful time I had in Edinburgh a couple of months ago when I was visiting and speaking at Skeptics in the Pub, and sadly you didn't make that one.
No, I couldn't get along to that one. I hadn't been very well earlier in the year, so I unfortunately missed a few talks. But I agree with you, it's fantastic going along to them. And since we started back in 2009, including all the special events we've done well over 100 different talks and shows in the past 3 years. I did actually at one stage work out how many we'd done, and it was around 150 marks. We've done quite a lot of events, ranging from regular Skeptics in the Pub talks to family-friendly events to walking tours and all sorts of different things that we've staged for our membership. So it's been absolutely fantastic. There's always something on here. I think now we do about 5 events a month.
All right, now, just so listeners in Scotland, just to make doubly sure, if they want to go to Skeptics in the Pub, what's the best web address they can head to?
Just go to edinburghskeptics.co.uk, that'll take you to our website, and there's a full list of all of our events, from our book club to our coffee shop meetings to our regular Skeptics in the Pub talks.
Fantastic. Now, apart from that, of course, you were mentioning earlier, you're a performing artist, and a magician. You're into magic, which is a great background for any skeptic, I think. You sound like you sort of have a varying interests in life. How would you categorise yourself first and foremost?
Performing artist. I didn't used to use that phrase because I always used to think, well, performing artist sounds a little bit pretentious. But I realised that it really does describe what it is I do, because as you say, I do have a varied outlook on life, and various different performances and performance styles come into it, from magic to public speaking to acting, directing. So the easiest way to describe myself is performing artist. Of course, then I have to explain what I mean by performing artist, so I don't know if it is a time saver.
Well, I suppose it covers a multitude of things, doesn't it? If you're a performing artist, well, you can sort of get away with all sorts of things, including being a magician, which is good to see. And I was quite interested to have a look at your website, which is ashpryce.co.uk. That's ashpryce.co.uk. And you've got some videos there doing something like psychic surgery and also somewhat debunking other so-called paranormal abilities.
Yes, so there's some videos on the site, and they're looking at different types of telekinetic and psychic paranormal claims. One of my favourite telekinetic supernatural claims was by James Heydrich, who is an American chap, and back in the early 80s he shot to fame by being able to move, or claim he was able to move, pencils and phone book pages using the power of his mind. And he was doing the chat show circuit, and he got quite a reputation for himself until a little known skeptic by the name of, I think his name is James Randi.
Oh, I've heard of him, yes.
And I don't know if many of your listeners may have heard of him, but so James does what James Randi does best, and on a television show, I think it was That's Entertainment or That's Incredible, he explained exactly how James Heydrich was doing it, and all James Heydrich was doing to move the pencil with his mind and to move the phone book pages with his mind was to blow on it. And so that's actually one of my favourite alleged psychic tricks, and it still gets people, and that's what I love about it, that even though this is 30 years old, this claim, this psychic ability that Heydrich was doing, it still gets people, and so it still does need explaining. Same with metal bending as well. People still do believe that it's possible to bend metal with the power of your mind, so it's still important that we're exposing this, and it's still important that we're showing people exactly how it's done by pre-bending the spoon to weaken the neck before the performance.
Absolutely, and yes, known about the James Heydrich videos and story for quite some time. In fact, I've had a little chat to James Randi about it many years ago. We were chatting about that very thing. But the important thing to notice, of course, or to note, is that when you do it, when he was doing it all those years ago, it's not just blowing, on something. You do it very subtly and very carefully. And James Heydrich had an amazing ability to blow air out of his lungs and have nothing appearing on his face. You'd never know. Oh,
he's absolutely fantastic. He is very, very good at what he does, which is one of the reasons why he was so convincing. There was one event where a chat show host thought he may have been blowing on the pencil, so he put his hand over James Heydrich's mouth to stop him, and Heydrich still managed to move the pencil. What he did in this situation was he balanced the pencil very, very, very carefully on the edge of a table and simply used the air currents of his hands to be able to move the pencil. So he had a backup in case anyone did think he was blowing on it, so he was able to still recreate it. Of course, he wasn't able to do this with the phone book, so as soon as James Randi put styrofoam pieces around the base of the phone book so that even the slightest gust of air would move the styrofoam, James Heydrich couldn't move the book. The other thing about James Heydrich is that he is one of the few psychics, or alleged psychics, who has actually come out at a later stage and said, yes, I was doing it through trickery. And a few years after he was exposed, he did do an interview with a journalist and said, yep, I was just blowing on it. I learned this ability whilst I was in prison, and one of the things he used to do was have little Bible groups, and he'd move the pages of the Bible, convincing people the power of Christ was there.
Absolutely, and what a good thing it is for all of us, is all those videos, or many of them, of course, are available online. If people just Google James Heydrich, James Randi, James Heydrich telekinesis, they'll find all that information there. It's fantastic to see it. Now, apart from that, I was quite tickled to see that you have started up something, or you're involved with something called the Beginner's Guide to Psychic Trickery. Now, that's something you're aiming to do pretty soon, isn't it?
Yes, that's during this year's Edinburgh Fringe Festival. The Beginner's Guide to Psychic Trickery it's really 3 shows. One of them is called How to Be a Psychic Conman, which is looking more at telekinesis, telepathy, mind reading. Because the important thing to remember, of course, is psychic doesn't just refer to mediumship and communicating with the dead. Talking to the dead's actually really easy to do. It's getting them to talk back. That's the hard part. But a lot of psychic ability also covers telepathy, telekinesis. So you've got metal bending, you've got ESP, you've got psychic surgery, you've got the gift of prophecy. So all of these come under psychic ability as well. So How to Be a Psychic Con Man will look at those. Then there's How to Predict the Future, which is a bit more focused on prophecy. So it's looking at phrenology, which is reading the bumps in the head to be able to tell insight about someone, and looking at astrology. And then there's a new one called How to Talk to the Dead, which I've not performed before. How to Be a Psychic Con Man I've done a couple of times, and How to Predict the Future I trialled out in Aberdeen last month. But How to Talk to the Dead is a completely brand new one, and it's looking at Victorian seances and how those tricks could still be used today. So different types of slate writing that the Victorians used to use, different tricks they used to incorporate into their seances, and of course looking at the origins of the seances and spiritualism, which were the Fox sisters in America.
You sort of make me feel a bit disappointed now, because when I think of all the psychics and the psychic acts and so forth I've seen over the past 10 years or so, these days it doesn't seem like anyone's got any imagination left. The Victorians did it wonderfully well with slates and invisible cloaks and cupboards and dark rooms and all sorts of things. The modern day so-called psychic just sort of stands up with a microphone in front of an audience, and they don't have to be very good. I think we've lost something.
I think so as well. Modern day psychics are disappointingly boring, with the exception of Mr. Geller, of course, who is one of the few interesting ones who is still on the circuit. Yeah,
I guess he doesn't claim to talk with the dead, though. That's something.
Yeah, at least that's something. His claims are a little less otherworldly, I guess.
Now, I see that this the Beginner's Guide to Psychic Trickery, you've got a target here to help you sort of along with the whole project of £300. How can people help out?
Well, the easiest way to help out is if you go to the Psychic Trickery website, which is psychictrickery.co.uk. The top left, there are 2 donation options. One of them is Crowdfunder, which runs out on July the 11th. So I'm trying to trying to promote that one. But underneath there's also a PayPal option, so people can donate through either of those methods.
Fantastic. Well, I encourage everybody in Scotland and any interested people to have a look at that website and see what you're up to. And finally, and I really wish I could teleport over to Edinburgh for this one, Ghosts Busted on Friday the 6th of July. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, so there's Ghostbusters on Friday the 6th, and it's also running during the Fringe as well on August 17th. Ghostbusters is really what helped kickstart Edinburgh Skeptics. It's what I was working on when I was working with the Ghost Tour. When I started to become more sceptical, I started to realise that there was much more interesting explanations than dead person coming back to life. And so I started developing this skeptical ghost walk of Edinburgh. So we take people around Edinburgh, we tell them the usual ghost stories, but we then go into a little bit more detail and a little bit more explanation about what actually might be causing the phenomena. And also there have been some legitimate investigations into alleged paranormal claims here in Edinburgh. For example, Richard Wiseman investigated the Southbridge Vaults, which are here in Edinburgh. They're part of what's known as the Underground City, which not really a city, and only some of it's underground, but that's neither here nor there really. It's just a nice tourist attraction. And so he's investigated the alleged paranormal activity there, so we explain exactly what he discovered and what he found out. And we also look at things like EVP and pareidolia and explain to people exactly what might be causing this supernatural and paranormal goings on. So yes, that takes people around the city. July the 6th is the first one that's open to the public.
And I see that's only £5. What a bargain indeed. In fact, I was, as I was mentioning before, I was in Scotland only a few months ago in Edinburgh. What a lovely city it is. It's just so full of history and old wonderful buildings. It's a great city for walking around. I can't get enough of Edinburgh when you're walking around it. It's just fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Edinburgh is a wonderful walking city, which explains why there are so many tours of the city. Not just ghost tours, there are regular history tours as well. Sadly, they don't seem to get as much attention as the ghost walks, but it is an absolutely stunning city. And I first visited it about 6 years ago, and I fell in love with the place, and I moved up a year later. And you're quite right, it is a very, very easy to walk city. It's very, very self-contained. In fact, for most of its history, it was only a mile by a quarter mile wide. It's only in the past 150, 200 years it started to expand beyond that. But it is absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful.
It certainly is, and please give my regards to Chris French and Richard Wiseman when you see them. That's fantastic.
I certainly will.
And so there's the word, people. People in Scotland, you know what to do. Head along to Skeptics in the Pub and please check out the website of Ash Pryce, www.ashpryce.co.uk. Find out about the magic, find out about the other things he does like performing arts, public speaking, and the wonderful walking ghost tours. Ghost Busted, Ash Pryce, a pleasure to talk with you on the Skeptic Zone.
Thank you.
The Skeptic Magazine, the journal from Australian skeptics. Subscribe online to the world's second oldest skeptical magazine. Visit www.skeptics.com.au and click the publications link. You can also find there over 30 years of back issues free to download. The Skeptic, the magazine from Australian skeptics.
The Dirty Disbelievers, Episode 9.
Dirty Disbelievers!
Don't harsh my mellow, man. Yes, Dr. H and Richard Saunders attend a New Age fair, and rude words fly. Did you know that being called clever is not always a good thing? The Dirty Disbelievers 9 at dirtydisbelievers.com, maynard.com.au, and where all good conspiracies are sold.
Dirty Disbelievers.
Here's Penny Chan with a penny for your thoughts.
The Independent Investigations Group tests fringe science claims and paranormal phenomena. The group offers $50,000 to anyone who can prove they have supernatural powers or provide evidence of supernatural occurrence. A nationwide volunteer organization based in Hollywood, the IIG's Southern California branch has tested 26 claims since its creation in 2000. Last week, investigator Wendy Hughes talked with me about their most recent claimant and his subsequent demonstration. While ultimately unsuccessful, the lead-up showed examples of common problems and surprises faced by the group while planning demonstrations. This is Penny, and I'm here in Studio City with Wendy Hughes.
Hi.
And
Paula Lauterbach. Hi.
and Paula. So, on Sunday, the 10th of June, there was what would you call it, was it a pre-challenge for the IIG? Or?
The IIG has a $50,000 paranormal challenge. I should say it's similar to Randy's $1 Million Challenge. And our group is a grassroots skepticism group, and if we can engage these people in correspondence and get them to fill in an application, then we work out a protocol with them for a test of their paranormal claim.
You just call it a demonstration.
A demonstration. And the preliminary demonstration for one of these people took place on Sunday. And if they pass that, there's agreement about what constitutes passing and failure. If they pass that, then they would be qualified for the $50,000 challenge, which we've never gotten that far. Nobody has ever passed the preliminary challenge.
The demos always have a lot easier odds.
But this is a claimant that came to us, and it was a little different. He sent us a series of photos and videos. One of them was a video that he took with his cell phone, and it just looked like he was taking a walk. You could hear the footsteps, and he was taking a walk down a residential street. And he said that there was a bicycle with no rider pedaling down the street, and we couldn't see it. And he sent us a picture of that. You couldn't tell what it was. I mean, you literally couldn't tell what the picture was of. But he said it was the interior of his car, and there was an alien sitting in the seat next to him. And we couldn't see that either. And the first email I said was, we can't see what you say is on there, but if you want to make if you make a claim, a paranormal claim that is something that is testable.
Well, you should have at least asked him if the alien was wearing a seatbelt, because that's very important.
That didn't occur to me. I guess, being a skeptic, that just was not something that crossed my mind. I shared his responses with that whole committee, like when he would write back to me. There's a part of me that just wants to keep trying to advance the communication. I don't want to ridicule any of these people.
Yeah.
Because what if someday someone tries to correspond with us who really can do telepathy, who maybe is like the next iteration of almost,
like X-Men, the mutants.
Or something. I mean, that hasn't happened yet.
So so this fellow with these weird pictures is who you tested on Sunday?
Yes.
So how did that, what did you do? How did you test him?
Well, first of all, we had to establish a claim that was going to be testable. One of his proposed tests was that he could identify hidden objects, whether they were animal, vegetable, or mineral. And then between us on the First Responders Committee, we're going, well, actually, a cardboard box is vegetable, and if we put I was thinking, well, yeah, what if we put a fish, goldfish in a fishbowl inside a cardboard box? That would be the animal. And then somebody pointed out that the glass is made of mineral, the fishbowl, and that the box was made of,
Just put a dead fish inside it. How about that?
So we have to negotiate among ourselves even before we respond to the claimant.
We spend all this time doing this negotiations between ourselves. Meanwhile, he would send another email with a totally unrelated test of other abilities that he had.
This seems unrelated to the alien photo in his car and the bicycle.
It is unrelated.
It is
Okay. I'm just making sure it's the same guy. Okay.
Yeah, and Paula was pointing out he changes his claim with every email. And
So what was the next claim he said he had?
He started to make some claims that we could figure out and sending us videos, which was interesting because he is very tech savvy. He's not stupid. He just has a belief system that's different from ours. And that if he could show us something that we've never seen before, we'd be interested in seeing that. And that's why we do these tests over and over again. So one of his the video that's actually online right now is of him with these little, like when you travel, you want to take your own soap with you sometimes, and you have the little translucent boxes.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And so he had 3 different ones in 3 different colors, and then he had these little religious charms: faith, hope, and love. And he could put one charm in each box, then shuffle around the boxes and claim to have forgotten which was which, and then pick the box and then open them. And so he sent us a video of himself doing that. Our chairman, Jim Underdown, said, but he switched his claim. When he was opening the boxes, he said that the faith one was going to be in the red box, and the hope one in the yellow box, and the love one in the blue box. And he switched that as he was opening the boxes and showing us which charm. And we're going, okay. And so I had to write back to him and tell him the truth, that we noticed that there was something wrong with how he was presenting his ability.
Yeah, he didn't understand the concept either of a double-blind test in any sort. When he was filming this, he had his own iPhone or whatever camera shooting it, while his other hand was doing all the work with putting stuff in the boxes and mixing them up. So he was the only one present. And he
each of the charms has a different colored box.
Yes.
Which is not exactly hiding things from yourself. You just...
So then we just started negotiating a test, and saying, okay, well, send us pictures of celebrities. And he was able to pick pictures out of these kind of boxes, the banker's boxes that he had assembled. And he had photographs of movie stars from movie magazines inside. One of them was Tom Cruise, and one of them was a picture of a movie magazine that had several movie stars on the front, and I forget.
What was interesting was when he did that similar test, the picture of Amy Winehouse, he said he couldn't read. It's like some of these pictures had additional qualities to him, so he would not be unable to read some celebrity pictures.
So the test that took place on Sunday was a derivation of that protocol that he proposed, because instead of using boxes, we proposed envelopes, because it was just less of a hassle. And actually, he had sent us pictures of himself picking pictures of presidents out of boxes and correctly guessing which presidents were in which boxes. And then by the time we got down to the test, it wasn't presidents anymore. It was other pictures of pop culture.
A mixed martial artist fighter, Jets, Lincoln Memorial, and
the Star Wars.
A Star Wars character. We wanted him to choose the images so he could say, I'm comfortable with all these images, so he can't use that later as part of a reason why he didn't do well.
Yeah.
So he proved all these images.
It had to be something that he was familiar with? Is that what you're...
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and then also I think when we're planning our paranormal challenge preliminary tests, And we plan the test so that the test is double blind. Mm-hmm. So that satisfies us. The fact that the claimant has been a part of the design of the test makes it fair to them. And then what happened was, strangely, by coincidence, and I'm becoming an expert on coincidence because of the odds must be crazy. Plug.
oddsmustbecrazy.com, right?
Thank you. That's right. And all 3 trials, he picked the Lincoln Memorial picture.
Correctly. Yeah.
Correctly.
Wow.
And it was just coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
There was no significance. It was just one of those things where Jarrett and I were waggling our eyes.
We could have made the test where it'd be difficult for any hits to have come, but it wasn't required for the odds. But we could have done it if we wanted to. But this still worked out because it would still be over 13,000 to 1 against that he would get the 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct. But he had the chance of getting hits like the Abraham Lincoln.
The difference with this one, I think, was that we've learned lessons from previous trials, from previous experiences, and avoided some pitfalls. Ran into some brand new, unexpected ones. But it's always, to me, interesting. We try to, we are interested in learning what makes these people tick. What,
each test is unique, and so we learn from each test.
Yeah, that's interesting. It is kind of like a scientific process, It's good you learn with each one. Things you never expected to learn.
And we stream it to our new affiliates, and so those that haven't conducted their own tests yet, they get a better idea what to expect.
Okay.
So we're hoping to help other people that want to do this as well.
That's good. That's cool. Well, Wendy and Paula, thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you, Penny.
Thank you very much.
For full details on this and all previous investigations, check out their website, iigwest.com, and look for them at the upcoming amazing meeting. With the Skeptical Scoop, this is Penny signing off.
Hello, Richard Saunders here with a little bit of information for those people living in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm going to be speaking about my adventures with the Power Balance wristband at a special event hosted by the Bay Area Skeptics, 7 p.m. Wednesday, the 11th of July, at La Pena Lounge, which is, according to the information I'm seeing, a 6-minute stroll from Ashby BART station. Now you can find out more details by visiting www.baskeptics.org. Also, if you visit www.skepticzone.tv, you can bid on an autographed photograph of the think tank crew. Myself, Iran Sergeyev, Joanne Benamou, Stefan Soika, Dr. Rachie Dunlop, and Maynard. Also included in that auction is an autographed copy of Maynard's book, Maynard's Guide to DAG.
Hey, you skeptics, I have something to share with you. I've got something that's going to get all you soft dicks to stop ignoring the truth that's right in front of your faces. This is an EVP I recorded last night. There was no one else around, no other electronic equipment, no other explanation. This was a voice from beyond the grave. Listen up. Did you hear it? Here. Let me slow it down. Even slower. Slower.
Hey, how you doing? I'm a ghost. I have unfinished business. What's up?
You guys can't possibly ignore that type of it. Hey, who are you? What are you doing in my... Oh!
Hey, gang. I'm sorry, but there are no spirits trying to contact you. EVPs are the result of pareidolia and cross-modulation combined with the listener's hopes and expectations.
Do that.
And since when the hell can you use the unknown to prove the unknown?
What does this have to do with science?
not skeptically pwned. Well, gotta go. See you in hell.
666.
SkepticallyPwned.com.
Where false claims get kicked in the nuts.
Thank you for listening to the Skeptic Zone. Now, a quick correction on last week's episode where we had a special guest reporter, Aaron Stevens from California, from Vacaville. I said he was teaching at Vacaville High School. That's not quite true. He's actually at the Crosstown High School, which is Will C. Wood High School in Vacaville. Oh well, I'm sure they're both great high schools. Not long to go now before the amazing meeting in Las Vegas. And if you're going along, please make sure you come up and say hi to me, Dr. Raichi, Aran Sergev, and Maynard, who will be there running around having lots of fun at TAM in Las Vegas. But for now, on this crisp winter's day, this is Richard Saunders signing off from Sydney, Australia.
You've been listening to the Skeptic Zone. Visit our website at www.skepticzone.tv for comments, contacts, and extra video reports.